Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's all right. I was a little scared for a moment. Sorry. I was a little scared for a moment. There was a Hydro-Quebec truck on the other side of the street. And I don't know what they were actually doing, but they seemed to be adding like a wire or something that was going through the street. But they didn't seem to need to cut power, so that's good. At least that is the good news. I was scared that they had to cut power. And probably not for long, but it seems that they can do whatever that was about without having to cut anything. They weren't playing with the high tension line on the top of the pole. They were just kind of adding a wire where the three main wires that go to the transformer and come to our house. So the problem, I don't know what, some ground wire or I don't know, something like that. But that was good. At least no cut of electricity. Okay. All the pages that I usually use are open. And so all is right. Priam in an hour. We'll be checking what our usual DXing of the SPY number stations. And what's the conditions right now? K index 2.3. That's not too bad. Not too bad. Solar Flex 145. So we'll see how the conditions are. I know that yesterday I was listening to the number stations. They were barely audible. If you guys remember last week, we had amazing propagation last week. Conditions were just so amazing. So today it's going to be a mix of last week and what I had yesterday. We'll see how it actually goes with the different transmissions there. And here we are. So, hey, everybody, welcome aboard. This is the live show. We are here every Saturday at 20 hours Universal Time. We enjoy radio, talk about radio, and just have a lot of fun with radio. I'm just going to position the microphone here. We are, of course, located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. My name is Gilles. So we're in the northeast part of North America. And, of course, one of the problems that we often have, and I try to diversify the signals we tune around because, people in the West Coast or people in Europe or, are not necessarily all going to get the same signals that I get here because of the different times of day. So not the same frequencies will propagate or, and things like that. So we try to find signals that everyone can actually tune to. I have the schedules of EIBI here open that I will be looking at for also, maybe checking for some signals in different parts where people might be listening. Because we do have a worldwide audience, so we do have a lot of people from around the world basically just checking in, which is a lot of fun, but we all have different signals to tune around. Not all the signals that we try are, received everywhere. So, right, pet Paul the cat. My nose is scratchy. So, we'll be doing that, tuning, and of course, listening to radio. Hopefully, propagation is going to keep up. There's also a beautiful chat room if you want to join in and say hello to everyone there. It's really, really a nice place to be. And this means that you can, chat, you can say hello, you can ask questions, whatever comes up to your mind. It's always a great place to be. And this is, I think one of the best groups, if not the best groups. And this is a great fun to have all of the people around and just chat along. And solitary hobby, I say it all the time. We are here together, and this is the cool part of it, is at least we have this where we can join in all together and do radio. And when all of this is over, we have a Facebook group, which has the same name as the official SWL channel on YouTube, channel name. And we're at 4,500 members and continuing. It's climbing all the time. We get new members every week. And this is where a lot of people post what they're listening to, the radios they're using, antennas, questions, or just comments about what they have and what they think about some of the equipment. Last night I posted quite a few messages to say what I was listening to, try to have people tune in to different broadcasts. Sometimes people don't know what to listen to, and when I post Radio Romania in English is here, or Voice of Turkey or whatever, it gives an idea that okay, well, I'm going to try that, and maybe you'll hear it and have something to listen to, which is always fun. So that is great. So creates this radio environment where people will pretty much always have something to follow, something to read, which is a lot of fun. If you like what I do, I'm here every Saturday. I post some videos. I will try to post a lot more videos in June. Actually, June will probably mean better weather, as May was not that great. And walk in the park videos, and maybe my first little trip to somewhere for some radio fun, like Perry Island, or I don't know, there's a few new places I'm looking at that could be fun to go to. So there will surely be some videos. I will bring along a lot of what is my favorite little portable. My favorite little portable for the summer will probably be the Texan PL520. Really, really cool to tune around with this radio. It's a very nice little portable. And it's not too big. It's easy to bring along anywhere and just tune. So this is going to be one of the radios this summer for sure. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun. And of course, if you want to help out, there's the super chat where you can actually give a little something. And there's also the pizza fund and the cat treats if you don't want me and Paul, the cat, to starve to death. Well, you can send a little something to the PayPal account here. And of course, it also works if you use official shortwave radio at gmail.com. They're linked together. And thanks for your donations. They are very, very much appreciated, and they have helped me go through the year, last year, and this year, going well too. Thank you for your support. It helps this continue. If you like what I do, if you're here every week, find it fun, would be sad if this would go away, well, this is the time to help out if you can. Okay, so what happened this week? I did a little radio this week. I did a little ham radio stuff. I actually did one late night amateur radio. I actually did some ham radio until I think it was Tuesday, or I don't remember, Tuesday or Wednesday. I did some amateur radio. Some amateur radio on up to about 07 UTC on I think it was Wednesday. and had a lot of fun. I actually got a few new countries, Kiribati, the T31 TTT station, and quite a few others. One from Iran. That was surprising. I never thought that in the ongoing circumstances right now that I would hear a ham operator from Iran. And yep, was there on the 20-meter or 30-meter band. I'm trying to remember. I think it's 30-meter band. And so I tried, and I saw that my signal was actually reaching Saudi Arabia, according to a PSK reporter. So it lets you, of course, that was kind of a surprise for me. So since my signal was reaching there, I kept trying. It took me a good half hour before I was able to reach, but then suddenly the response came back, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. So this was so cool. So this definitely was a very interesting catch and communication. Added Iran, which I didn't have in my amateur logbook. So this was definitely nice. What part of Iran? Somebody is asking what part of Iran. Let me check. Just gonna go here and find my log. Iran. Where? Okay, Iran here. So EP5 TJS. EP5 TJS. EP5 TJS. So station is that's interesting. On the QRZ page, there's no mention of the exact location. His locator is LM96JH. Hamad QTH Mashhad, Mashhad. So where's that? In Iran. Let's check it out here. Mashhad, Iran. And so, yeah. Mashhad, historically also known as Mashhad, is the second most populous city in Iran. So that's where he's located. If you want to check that out. So that really surprised me. I got to say, I was not expecting to hear with what's happening now, I was not expecting to hear an Iran station at all. I'll tell you that. So it's kind of interesting. So pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I added two countries, Kiribati and Iran, by doing some AM radio. Conditions were pretty good. I actually have received, because I think there's water that's seeped in my coax, and the coax outside have been there for several years now. So I actually have purchased 75 feet of coax that I need to put outside and connect to the radio, to the antenna in the back. So this will be a new cable. Hopefully this will fix the problem, as there must be some water somewhere along the cable right now, because I have a little bit of problems. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, MDK2. There are some like that, unfortunately. So anyways, well, it's kind of cool to at least have a contact with the station. Cheers, the usual beer, like I have every week. So that was my my week of radio. Yesterday I did some radio pretty much all evening. I had the M-Lite, the Texan PL 520, I had the ICOM here. I had the Yaesu. Was tuning different signals. So this is it's going to be a lot of fun. There was a lot of fun actually last night to listen to all sorts of signals and things everywhere. So different gear TV, you can adjust the sensitivity of ETM on the 520. Something that the 330 does not permit, and the hidden features. I don't remember which key it is, but there are settings for the ETM scan sensitivity on the 520. If it gets too many stations, it's because maybe it's set too sensitive. So you can change that. I'll actually make a video of the hidden features that 330 does not have. There's a few things. Okay, so nice to have all of you here. Mike Beat, nice to have you here from Colorado. Toast and Loaf from Alabama, nice to have you here. Free to Choose, nice to have you on board from Saint-Hyacinthe, Quebec. J'espère que tu vas bien. Andy New, nice to have you here from the UK. M7CUN. Brett Woolley, nice to have you on board from Northwest Oklahoma. Mike WX50, nice to have you here, Northwest Arkansas. Chuck Schreiber, nice to have you here from South Texas. Brian Leisner from Philadelphia. Skillology, nice to have you here from Southern Ontario, Canada. JD Dakota from Wentzville, Missouri, nice to have you here. And we have TVDXer. Salut, ça va bien? J'espère que tu vas bien. Nice to have you on board. Matt, nice to have you here. MDK2 from Denver, Colorado. Before I forget, I'll post the link. If you guys have missed the documentary from Amanda Don Christie, Spectres of Shortwave, on the demise of Radio Canada International, this is the last weekend, I believe, that it's available through the website. You can watch it for free. And it is definitely a worthwhile documentary to look at. Amazing. And don't be surprised if at the end you actually have a little tear in your eye, because you'll see the demolition of the Sackville Towers. So here's the link, and I think it's until Sunday. After that, they're taking it out. So go and check it out while you can. It is a beautiful documentary. A lot of people are asking me, is there a place where you can buy it? Unfortunately, no. And maybe I should drop a line to Amanda Don Christie and let her know, because maybe she could do something about it. I know a lot of people would like to buy a copy of it. So a beautiful documentary. Joseph, nice to have you on board from San Francisco Bay, California, tuning the bands with his PL 680 and MLA 30 plus a Bearcat scanner and Kiwi SDRs and all of us. Nice to have you here. Chicopee Radio, nice to have you here. Far Too Many Gadgets, nice to have you on board from Central Pennsylvania. Robert Varner, nice to have you here from New Jersey, KC2TEL. Keegan DXer, always nice to have you on board from Northwest Arkansas. SWL Signals, nice to have you here from Florida, hot and humid Florida. Playing a little on 10 meters and made contact with the ham in Venezuela. Yeah, there's not a lot of them. I remember when, the good old days when Venezuela was all over the bands. Now you're almost lucky when you get one. Steve Burnham, nice to have you here from Central Pennsylvania. Ray Hawksworth, nice to have you on board from Victoria, British Columbia. Where do we go? Okay. Dave, W9SSS. I just bought a Yaesu FTDX10, anxious to see how it works on shortwave. It's a decent radio. It's really a decent radio. It was designed. You see that it was designed mostly for amateur radio use, but I use it a lot to listen. I kind of like it. Al from Australia, nice to have you on board. What external HF antennas are you using? I have on the Yaesu, this one here, I am using a half-wave end-fed antenna that is kind of technically put in a sloper type direction because it's high up the ground here, but at the other end it's lower on the fence. So that is what I'm using for receive and transmit. And as I've been working, the world basically. So the setup is actually very nice. So that's what I'm using on that. And on the ICOM ICR 8500 or any other portable that I have here, because I have a multi-coupler, I can plug in up to 4 radios at the same time, including my SDR Play device. That is the Toshiba GA490 magnetic loop that is on the outside balcony in the front that I use for that. Each have their advantage. The magnetic loop gives me the possibility of the low frequencies where the end fed is too noisy. And the end fed is great at the higher frequencies where my GA490 seems to be not as good as the end fed antenna. Rotten Animal, nice to have you on board. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here. MPRTVG from Louisiana. Rick Myers, KO4OSA, nice to have you here from Florida. Unfortunately, alert for lightning within 10 miles. So, yeah, I got to be careful with that. Old Radios, nice to have you here. Joseph, yeah, I know. I got to get Paul the Cat here soon. I'm actually looking at all the junk today, and I was like, okay, this is going to be cleanup week for this part. And I'll bring a chair, a comfy chair. So by next week, we're possibly going to have a comfy chair here, just to my right, and hopefully Paul the Cat will want to sleep there. And so it'll be kind of nice to have him with us. Jasmine, nice to have you here from sunny Seattle. Always nice to have you on board. Free to choose what's on CB's channel 6. Because earlier, about 20 minutes before the live show started, as a Super Bowl channel became alive. It's channel 6. We call it the Super Bowl channel. Is where a lot of far away CB guys join in when the propagation is there and there's skip. So it probably was Sporty Skip, I would guess. It came alive for about half an hour, and about 20 minutes before I started the show, everything came quiet again. So it was a temporary situation with probably some sporadic E-skip that happened there. Joe, nice to have you here from South Jersey. Megan, nice to have you here from Commerce City, Colorado. We have Different Gear TV. So like I was saying, Different Gear TV, you there's a setting, a hidden feature in the settings of the 520 to change the ETM scan sensitivity. So you have to play with that to maybe it's set too sensitive right now. DH1AO, nice to have you on board from northern Germany. I'm sorry. Nice to have you here. And Old Radio says no radios this week. Joseph, do you know what part of it? Also, that's what, yeah. Yeah. So I told you the city where he was located. When I was mentioning Saudi Arabia, it's mostly because I was mentioning that if my signal reaches Saudi Arabia, there's a chance that it might reach Iran also, because my signal doesn't always reach the Middle East. Sometimes, depending on propagation, I don't see any spots in the Middle East where or in the Persian Gulf where I actually see can see my signal going through. So it was really a lot of fun to get here on. That was a great one. Rain fact, nice to have you on board from Texas, where it's 90 degrees. Rain fact says, heard someone from Tel Aviv last night. UFSC, nice to have you on board. And what is 73's mean? It's greetings. It's like saying, a nice hello to other radio geeks. So there's 73, which is kind of a hello, like a handshake, saying hello. And there's 88 for women. So it's like hugs and kisses, if you want, for women. It's taken from amateur radio language, basically. Bob Rouse, nice to have you on board from North Carolina, wet and rainy. We had a really, really wet evening last night. The weather was really bad, and we had even a high wind warning where the winds reached almost 100 kilometers per hour. But it was not as bad as they had predicted, though. I think it was a little better, but we did have a lot of rain. We had a few thunderstorms. And of course, there were some weather alerts, which you didn't get unless you had a smartphone, because weather radio doesn't exist anymore. It just came to mind yesterday. It's like, wow, weather radio doesn't exist. I can't tune it to know if severe thunderstorms are coming. Quentin Gray, near the border of Turkmenistan, yeah, where he's located in Iran. Cool. Jim Gordon, nice to have you on board. It's a warm evening in Dundee, Scotland. Cool. Cheers, Matt. We have James VW. Nice to have you on board from Woodhaven, Michigan. Keegan DXer had some FM DX Tropo to Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, and Missouri on May 25th. So that's good. That's pretty good. I need to check that out. So using the Quota Send DX286 with its internal antenna, that is great. That is great. So what else do we have? Brian Leesner. Yeah, I got all the stuff. I got all the cheat sheet, the secrets of the PL520. No problem. Super Critter, nice to have you here from Nashville, Tennessee. K5RCW. Richard Wagner, Northeast Illinois. Nice to have you here. Gino, nice to have you on board from Kentucky. WM9K, Mark, nice to have you here. We have Jay Watterson, 69, nice to have you on board. Old Radio says weather's been soupy. Brian Penny, nice to have you here, checking in from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Always nice to have you on board. John Beckham from Northeast Florida, nice to have you on board. Paul Stringer, VE3105 SWL, nice to have you here, my friend. Really nice to have all of you. John Beckham, Jill, where did you pick up your red Ever Ready shirt, as I would like to check one out? Maybe I purchased it online from it's from a t-shirt place online that I got it. I don't remember the exact place though, but it's one of those t-shirt places online. I would have to go back and look at the emails, see if I can find a place, but Ever Ready, I don't know if I can find it. Nine Lives shirt. And yeah, I think this is where it came from. Let me just check it out. You had a red one here. The one that I have, which is the red one. Oh, this is not exactly the same. So this one is called T Public. Vintage cat battery logo. And here they don't have it in red. So it's one of those online shirt places. I just came through on, I think it was on Facebook. It was a Facebook ad. So here we go. So they have one. This is the one I got. This is, yeah, here you go. This is the one I have. You have tons of different colors that you can get here. It's not where I purchased it, but this place is selling it. I'm gonna let you. They're selling it for $28.55, depending, I guess, on the size, because there must be, like everything, when it's bigger, it's usually more expensive. So, and you can get it in all sorts of colors too, which is kind of nice. So here's this place that I found, where you can maybe check it out. Oop, here we go. Ever Ready Retro Battery Black Cat 9 Lives t-shirt. So check it out there. It's not from there that I purchased it, but it sure is pretty much the same. Except there's a lot of color choices there. The one I have is very sturdy. The cotton and the thickness of the t-shirt is very good quality. Toast and Loaf looks like CW. Yeah, the CW WPX contest is going on this weekend on the ham bands, where a lot of people like to call WPX weird prefix contest because there's so many amateur stations with weird call signs on the contest. Anamorphosis, nice to have you here from Las Vegas. Cool to have you on board. Keegan is precisely in Bentonville, Arkansas. Gino, on the display behind you, is that an HDMI output from your radio? If so, what radio is it? If it's software, what is the software? That is the output of my Yaesu. My Yaesu radio has a output in the back for a screen. It is not HDMI, it's a DVI output that the Yaesu FTDX10 has. So you need a DVI cable, and you need a monitor with a DVI input in order for it to work. It's not HDMI. I don't know why they did it like that. Maybe to save money. I would really have preferred that they used HDMI for an output, but unfortunately, they chose DVI. And you cannot use a adapter, like, DVI to HDMI. It doesn't work. You have to really have DVI cable and a DVI capable monitor, which I purchased. This is a gaming monitor I purchased from Amazon. It's an Asus monitor, and it had a DVI input on it. Anamorphosis says, thanks for the great info. I bought a Texan 680 based on your reviews. Cool. What else do we have here? I hope you're happy with the radio. Okay, here we go. Joseph, so definitely it's hard to hit that part of the world at all. Saudi is a good proxy because there's a good number of hams there. Yep. I hear a station from Saudi Arabia. He's on 20 meters almost every night lately. Old radios, like 10.4. No, 10.4 is to acknowledge. 10.4 is really to acknowledge that you have copied the communication or the transmission. Old radios, where 73 and 88 are more, like, friendly friendship things. It's like 73 is more like it's kind of a handshake, a hug if you want. 88 is like, a hug and maybe a kiss on the cheek for women. So there's the men and women, 73, 88, usually. Free to choose, 728 are the same we use on CB channels. Yeah, it definitely comes from the amateur radio. It was taken from the amateur radio um, side of things. Old radio says was pouring this morning. Jasmine says, I know 88 is a much worse context I'm not mentioning here, and that context would prevent me from ever saying it. I will say one thing about 88. I always find it kind of awkward. For me, 73 applies to everybody. It's like, a handshake. It's innocent and simple. And sometimes when I hear some hams using 88 on nets of stuff, I find it sometimes to be kind of, I don't know, the dirty uncle. It's like weird. It's like, why do you want to kiss? Why do you want to kiss on the cheek the wife of somebody else? Basically, because it's kind of what it means. And I always thought it's 73. 73 to everyone. Everybody understands. And it will apply to women too for me. It's like I will never use 88 personally. For me, it's 73 for everyone. That's it. Dave W9SSS. So it's an Asus gaming monitor. It's actually made for gamers. It is a curved screen. Maybe you don't see it very well at the with the camera, but it is a curved screen, and it is meant for gaming. And mainly the reason I purchased that one is to have the DVI input. Matt said, that said, a lot of ham codes are old-fashioned and well-intentioned. I never take it that way when I hear it. Yeah. Technically, they're innocent codes. When they were invented, it was simply for being friendly, basically. But I don't know. Times change. Keegan's, I'm still on hiatus from uploading YouTube videos, but we'll consider uploading videos again at some point. Still recording some of my latest FMDX catches. Cool. So Kenneth, KW1161, nice to have you on board from a cooler 85 Fahrenheit, Tucson, Arizona. Nice to have you here. It's always nice to have all of you on board. Frank Radio TV Lab says this morning I just hear about the shutdown of CHU. Yep. We talked about it a few times in the past couple of weeks. It is in the background here on 7850 on the ICOM right now. At some point on June 22nd, when we reach that time period, it will be gone. And that frequency will be empty. So June 22nd is a Monday. So that means that our live show of June the 20th will be the last live show where we could hear the CHU time pips. That is sad. One thing also I was thinking, it's probably going to happen again this year. Coming up in June, on June the 21st, we'll have the BBC midwinter broadcast towards Antarctica. So I was thinking that when that happens, I will do a special live show because it's going to be on a Sunday, technically this year. So I'll be doing a live show on Sunday just for that, on that weekend, so that we can all tune the BBC midwinter broadcast together, which is always fun. So, Jim Gordon, how do you find the PL520 compares with the DX286? Well, in terms of reception, it's pretty good. I haven't tested FM reception enough to compare both, although FM seems to be very good on the PL520 because I get the WVPS station on 107.9 easily. So it seems to be a pretty good radio, and compared to the DX286. And the radio overall, the PL520 is a very good radio. Of course, they're a little different because the PL520 can decode SSB single sideband, which the DX286 cannot. So that will be more of a factor to making you wonder, should I get the DX286 or not? Well, it will depend on, do you need SSB single sideband? If you do, well, PL520. But they're both pretty good, and I'll be doing a scan on FM and just comparing what both receive. John Beckham, nice to have you here. Mike WX50, I used to send in reception reports to Newark News Radio Club using the YL OM nomenclature. Yeah, young lady, old man, to refer to who was presenting the news. Skidology, you're going to have to get used to listening to WWV and only WWV. Yeah, that will be, at least we have an option. And that is at least the thing. WWV makes it up to here, so we'll have some replacement available. But it's still sad that, they're cutting off CHO. I mean, it costs $1,000 a day to operate. With a budget, the government's budget, that's peanuts, Teluija, yep. CBS News Radio is shut down. Another sign of the times and of changing times. Super Critter, funny story. When I first got my ham license, the government granted me to call K5 HIV. Needless to say, I got to change very soon after to a vanity call sign. Yeah, there are letters sometimes that can pop up in a call sign that, when I looked at the call signs, when I was choosing my call sign, it came upon me. I wanted to have a VE, not a VA, for some personal reason. It's just me. But there is VA2 ASS, and I was like, okay, VA2S. Okay, I'll pass on that one. But it was like, yeah, VA2S. I don't know. I got a big butt. There are several. There was one the other day that I saw on FT8, which made me, it was a Japanese station, JE0, PAY or something. And when I looked at it real quick, all I could see was Jeopardy. I was like, what, Jeopardy? Like, oh no, it's a Japanese call, JE0. It was funny. Paul Stringer, thank you for the donation. Much appreciated. Don't forget, guys, if you want to help out, you can do like Paul, do a little donation here through the super chat, or do like our friends Blogger Die and Brian Nisner that have both given a little something through PayPal. Thank you so much for the donation, and much appreciated. So for the pizza fund, So if you want to help out, it is very, very helpful. Helps me continue the live shows and the videos. Thank you for supporting me. Joseph says propagation is nice today. Already getting stuff this early in the afternoon. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I, by the way, got a message from Shoyoung regarding the LC100. Some of you might be thinking of the next generation of the LC90 radio, smart radio, and shortwave. And there's still several months away before officially they'll release one. There's still several months away. But she was saying that she will look into sending me LC100 when they are ready, and so I can actually test it and, of course, review it. I know that they will have upgraded several things. For example, it will now have the possibility to go to WPA3 for the Wi-Fi passwords, and possibly 2.4 and 5 gigahertz connectivity. A few things that are really going to make it better than the LC90. Maybe improve connectivity for people that had problems with their the LC90 on Wi-Fi. And so it looks nice. It looks promising. Will be interesting to see when that arrives. But they told me several months before it happens. Dustin Love says 10, 11 meters is popping. Emil Johnson, nice to have you on board, my friend. Gino says the new ICOM 7300 MK2 has an HDMI output. I'm thinking about getting that one. Yeah, the 7300 is, is a standard. A lot of people like it, and that's very, that's a good idea that they put an HDMI. I still don't understand why they put the DVI on the Yaesu. Levy Nathan, nice to have you on board. Long time no see. John Beckham, 10-7, sign off, 10-8 and 10-10, standing by. Different Gear TV, someone told me 69 is the new 73. Never heard anyone say 69. That's kind of awkward. Blogadai, nice to have you on board. And says, hi from Heidelberg, where 6070 is radio 292. Now's the internet connection. Heard Iran on 5890 at 2038 on Thursday with the DX286 on telescopic. Cool. It's fun to listen to the radio somewhere else. I was class of 88. Nobody had the alternative meaning then, or if it did, it was solely in those circles. And Matt says, John Kim, okay. Let's go down. Set wide 3WR, so I was checking VOD in English, VOA in English on Tuesday. 17695 was the only frequency I could catch, but it was super weak. On Friday, they didn't broadcast. No, it's only 2 days a week. It's Tuesday. Well, that's it. Okay, you tried Friday. It's Tuesday and Friday you didn't get the broadcast. Some people said they were still only music. So I don't know what you were listening to, if it was just music. But some people are saying that apparently it's just music. So this is kind of it's almost as if they didn't, do anything. Mike Hill, thank you so much for the donation through PayPal that I just saw go through. Let's try our hand at a number station, guys. It's coming up in 8 minutes. And it'll be on 17458. $17,458. The first in a series of M12 CW number stations from St. Petersburg, Russia. Talking about radio, last night when I was listening to the shortwave bands, it was very, very interesting because I heard of Radio Havana, Cuba, with a pretty good English language program. It was coming in very well. I heard it in French also with good audio, but 9710, which had good audio, was drowned in a radar signal. And I was like, okay, it's as if, Cuba doesn't already have enough, problems transmitting. It has to be hit by a radar signal that over it, that's almost jamming it. Joe, has anyone ordered a shortwave antenna from WDX2 radio in New Jersey? You can order any length of wire you need, plus any connection for the radio you have for more shortwave portable. So yeah, I remember seeing that, but yeah. The H1AO is 55 out of fashion. In the 90s, it was common to send 55 and 73. Yeah, I remember seeing that a few times, but we don't see that very often. The Wind, nice to have you here from Seneca County, New York. And Andrews, nice to have you on board. The model number of my monitor, I don't know by heart. Let me check here if I can quickly find it for you. Amazon. I bought it on Amazon. So on Amazon, let me see my orders. I'm gonna search because it's been a while. Asus. It's the Victor Golf 27 VQ. So let me, it's a 27-inch monitor, and it's an Asus VG27AQ. It's 27-inch. So I don't know if you can still find that particular model. It has a DVI port for the Yaesu FTDX10. Of course, has also the HDMI ports for other stuff. So I purchased this in January 2023. So it's 3 years old already. Man, I can't believe it. I didn't even think that was 3 years old. It's 3.5 years old almost now. That's what I got for the monitor. Jasmine says, wouldn't be shocked to see WWV and WWVH go. Yeah, and they almost did a few years ago. There was a big survey done, and they were thinking of shutting down. And finally, it continued. But you never know. Anamorphosis, I just bought the K480 WLA antenna for my Texan 680. Seems really good. Are there certain bands or frequencies it performs better or worse on? I would say that where the 480 WLA maybe is a little weak is when you go down into medium wave, long wave. It still receives. I mean, it still receives, but it might not be as sensitive. But overall, it's a good performer overall on the radio, for sure. Kenneth, my new ESP138D has both chips used plus decoders on the SI 4735, including slow scan TV, CW, and FT8. Wow. That is cool. Craig Martinetti, nice to have you here from Oxford County, Ontario. Jasmine is laughing probably at the call sign VA2S. Yeah, Keegan, that episode with Kramer getting Assman New York plate on his car. Remember that? I'm worrying my radio with AI will be smarter than me. It was a fun joke on Facebook this week. It said everybody's worried that they'll be replaced by AI when most of them can be replaced by a toaster. Brian Leesner says big problem with the LC90. And it's funny because I have zero Wi-Fi connectivity issues here with the LC90, the mini LC, LC, and even the other Shoyoung radios I got. I have zero problems with connectivity here. It's kind of interesting. Brett Woolley, it's the beer funding. Come on, man, tell us the truth. It's for radios. It's for everything. And Andrews, Yaesu has a DisplayPort chip converted to DVI to avoid USB-C royalty. Aha. Okay. Huh. Still. No. Tosalov 27978 USB, some intermittent RTTY sounding signal. There is some marine stuff on that frequency range. Okay, I'm hearing 17458, but it's very weak compared to last week. If you guys remember last week how strong it was. This week it's barely there. It's not much better than I had it yesterday. So that is so what else do we have? Jasmine says first 27 megahertz mesh test was successful. RJ Dakota, no shortwave right now during electrical storm, maybe in a little while. Super Critter, this is a relaxing live show. Learned a lot from this show. Scanning ham bands on my unit in SDS 150. Cool. An animal have an ever-ready 32. It's an ever-ready tube radio from 1929. Cool. Take care, Kenneth. Always nice to have you on board. Gabriel, nice to have you on board from Uruguay. What else do we have? Okay. ZY3WR, yeah, was music with the VOA jingle. Okay. So I guess they still don't have any programming to put on. Joseph, I think the amateur backlash would be too strong. WWV coming from amateur radio ops. And I know it's used a lot. WWV is used a lot by in the scientific community. Just ask Cosmic Lettuce when he's here. He uses it all the time for astronomy purposes. The submarines use WWVB. No, actually, communications underwater go don't go very deep. You cannot communicate. Like, for example, when you know that sub that imploded when they were going to see the Titanic, it is impossible to communicate with radio waves that deep. The only way they can actually do communications is through sound, because water propagates sound a lot better than the atmosphere. So basically, that sub was sending sound waves that were received by a receiving station on the boat. It's the only way that they could communicate. No radio frequencies reach that deep. Water blocks them very quickly. So all the low frequencies, like, you know, the subs, there's a lot of, like, the US Navy is around 8, 9, 10, 12 kilohertz, which is extremely low. This is for submarines, but only to a certain depth. If they go too deep, even that doesn't work anymore. It's really just sound waves that work at past a certain level. Water just blocks electromagnetic waves. MDK2, is there a difference in license class between VA and VE Canadian call signs? No, it's because we ran out of VEs at some point, so they had to put VA and start giving VA call signs to compensate, because they ran out of calls. So what else do we have? Brian Leesner, the LC90 was great until recent firmware, never a problem. Mine works great. Actually, it works better with a recent firmware for me, because the streams are more solid. Tosanov 17458 starting up. Skidology, no joy 17458. Milk Spots getting CW. Yep. Mike B 17458. Not this week in Colorado. Tosanov, I guess there's a graph somewhere showing how far radio signals get underwater via first frequency. Yeah, but in depths of, like, Titanic depths, there's no radio signal reaches that far. Joseph 17457 upper sideband, maybe something in the noise. Joseph, I thought long wave was for subs back in the day. Not sure what they use now. You know, like I said, if they go too deep, there's no way of, you either need a cable attached to transmit something, or they will use sound waves, which propagate very well underwater. Nothing for Matt. The H1AO time signals are often used to calibrate analog scales. Yep. Buddy Mason Lake. Yep. Extremely low frequencies. The ELF band. Jasmine, the U.S. Navy has a station here on 24.8. Yep. There's several of these stations on the coast. They go down to a certain level, so you can reach, but it doesn't go all the way down to very deep ocean floor. Also, no blue green lasers have the best water penetration, I heard somewhere. Yeah, but everything that's visual, look at the underground, at the sea. When they go deep in the sea, what's there is, it's dark, because even light doesn't penetrate that far in water. Jasmine says Jim Creek, Washington, 24.8 kilohertz. Michael says, my D808 was never received a long wave signal. I live in the US. Yeah, it's possible. You might not have anything around you that is broadcasting. The non-directional beacons are all being decommissioned now, so it's possible you never receive anything there. Matt says, wow, you learn something new every day. Apparently VLF signals penetrate seawater up to 40 meters depending on the salinity. Yep. It really doesn't go very far. Water absorbs all the electromagnetic energy from the signals. So you're stuck with either sound waves or keeping some kind of tether, a cable attached that goes and transmits to, like, if you have a very small sub for an expedition, you can keep, a tether, a small cable that will go up to that small submarine from the boat above to keep communications going. But what was on one of documentaries on the Ocean Gate sub, it was clear that the uplink was an audio uplink. It was sounds. So with the sounds, they would do some form of communication up to with the ship above, and that was able to be catched by the ship above. John Beckham says nothing on 17458. Said Y3WR, something I wonder about. If they're a special program but they mess up with, will rehost again? Today was a music program on 21700, but other program take over at 13 UTC. Not necessarily. If, for example, if they mess up in a transmission, usually you miss that transmission. They'll have something else and not replay the program. There's on shortwave, there are a lot of that happening. Transmitter didn't start up. Transmitter started up, but the feed wasn't there, so you're not getting the program. Things like that happen all the time. So, so what else? So now it seems they're gone. I don't hear him anymore. It was very weak. We'll try the next one in a few minutes. The next one is in 9 minutes on 16-234. So let's get to 16. So 16-234 is the next frequency in 9 minutes from now. Dusseldorf, I think they use some VLF radios in caves to get through rock. Jim Gordon, as a post-grad language student, I did read the International Directory of Obscenities. Quite revealing, particularly where cultural differences dictated the form of insults. Dusseldorf, I guess sound waves can get down to the deepest ocean depths unless they get reflected away. Yeah, because some waves really, really propagate extremely well underwater. It's I don't remember how many times, but it was it's like 100 times better than in the air. Free choose. What do military subs use for comms? Yeah, well, that's like we're talking. And when they're not going very deep, they can use the VLF, very low frequency stuff. But as soon as they go down, if they go down to hundreds of meters, they have to use sound. Take care, Blogger Die. Have fun in your travels. Have a good time. MDK2, remember that the sound of the Ocean Gate submersible implosion was heard before the final communication by a couple of seconds. Yep. Yep. So the Y3LR, it was super strong. It's just the other program takeover on from channel 292. Kamikaze 76, nice to have you here from West Michigan. John Beckham, where did Radio Japan, I believe it was, go from 6105? Maybe they switched frequency. I haven't heard them. Actually, I haven't tried much, but I haven't heard them. Let me check. Are they still scheduled on 6105? Yeah, that's it. They're not. Oops, not this one. Here. So 6105. Yeah, China Radio, not China Radio, NHK Radio Japan is not there on this. Let me check the schedules of NHK here. If you look at NHK Radio Japan, like from the start here, I'm trying to remember what time they were, they started at like 01 UT or something. So NHK Radio Japan is, according to here, well, they would be broadcasting almost direct in Japanese to South America. That was where they were broadcasting. It says Japanese to South America 02 to 04, direct from the Yamata transmitter site in Japan, and on 21500. So they stopped their relay, I would guess. They do have a couple of relays to the Middle East from Germany, but that's it. So I guess maybe they think the propagation is good enough that they're trying direct from Japan. So they stopped their relay from Issoudun, France, basically. Yep, RJ Dakota. No, they are not on the 6105 ZY3WR. The schedules here show that they have, they don't have that frequency on. NHK is not on 6105 at any time. So if you hear something on 6105, you're hearing something else, which is possibly China Radio or even Radio Taiwan International is broadcasting from there. So it would seem that they're using direct transmission to South America via their Yamata transmitter site in Japan. It's kind of interesting. Also know there are some streaming hydrophones you can listen to. Yep. Angpar, nice to have you here from Los Angeles. Angpar, it's nice to have you here. YouTube Radio XH Data, nice to have you on board. Blogger CM Lite 880 firmware V155 on their site. Yes, I upgraded to mine to 1.55. I actually did that upgrade. Now my VHF works, but it's not super sensitive. Of course, I remember YouTube Radio XH Data. I remember pretty much everybody. So next transmission coming up in 4 minutes, 16234. CW 16233 upper sideband. If you guys want to try it, and we'll see if that one comes in. But we could see that sorry, that propagation is not as good as it was last week, because last week we had amazing signals. This week it's not super great. So check it out. Yeah, I usually use the U20 Netherlands receiver for 4625. It receives the buzzer quite well most of the time. So we're getting into the summer, the real deep summer propagation. June with the longest days. June and July is truly summer propagation, basically, as we are going into the long days in the northern hemispheres and the short nights. So propagation is kind of interesting at this time, for especially in the evening. I find that tuning around, I was listening the other day, I heard China Radio International English direct at, I think it was at 01 or 02 UTC on 17640 with a really strong signal. It was direct from China. I tuned it and stayed there for the whole hour of English, and then changed to Radio New Zealand, which is kind of fun. It reminds me of the good old days when I was a teenager, and you would go up on the high frequencies and hear these exotic, stations, and Radio Australia also, and the higher frequencies in the summer, time. So it's still not started yet, the H1AO. It's starting in a minute from now, a little less, 30 seconds. So it's not started yet. It's starting in about 20 seconds. Not hearing anything. I got this tone, this steady tone, which is not that, but I'm not hearing. Oh, I am, but very, very weak. Yeah, I get very, very weak. I can hear it barely in the noise. It's very, very weak. So, Tosanov. Notice there's a digital signal above, next to the two Russian signal CW things. PVM, nice to have you here. Hope you are well also. So the H1AO gets it about S5 to S6. It is meant for Europe, so anybody in Europe should probably hear it pretty well. Dustin Love says it's pretty strong on the Vermont QESDR. Well, that's interesting. Here's barely. Yesterday was about the same, barely making it. I definitely can notice it in the noise, but it's not very good over here. CHU on the other side on 7850 is coming in very well now. DJ K Rays, nice to have you on board. Or DJ Craze. I say K Rays, but I probably DJ Craze. Nice to have you here. So that'll be a last try that we can do at 15814. Apart from that, anything on the pirate bands right now? Let me check that out. Nothing special on the bands right now. So I'm going to continue this. I've got to check out what stations We might tune around also. So yeah, it's very weak. I don't really have much of a signal here. I'm gonna try at 2130, but has anyone heard the has anyone heard the U.S. Marine weather stations? I haven't heard them in many months. They all seem to have been are that they are gone. So yeah, propagation compared to last week. Last week was crazy. Last week they were so strong. We were almost all hearing them last week. DJ Cray says, anyone else notice the DNA looking signal last night on 6955 and then later 6945 around 02 UTC? Yeah, probably some pirate broadcasting something yesterday. A lot of see yesterday, what was there yesterday on pirates? 6955 Radio Free Euphoria was there. And 6945 was Band-Aid Radio. So probably they were transmitting some art on the waterfall. It's right in the pirate band. Joseph, I've actually started recently listening to marine weather stations. Mostly I listen to 1309. I have received Chesapeake, Hawaii, and California. It is not very reliable. Okay. Because all the times in the past week, all right, because all the times that I've tried lately, they weren't on. And I'm going to try because in 5 minutes, Chesapeake, Virginia is supposed to come on 2130. So I'm going to try 13089 and 8764 to see if I can hear them. Because I've not heard them in a long time. So you heard it in the past week. That's interesting. Okay. Quentin Gray getting a faint signal from 16233 upper sideband here in Ottawa. Okay, that's interesting. Which, makes you wonder if they are so unpredictable. Who the hell is using that service? If no one is telling them that, it's bad, no one's using it anymore. Joseph says, especially KPH, actually, I just heard it for the first time this morning in a long time. I thought they may have been out of commission. Actually, KPH is only on Saturday. You will never hear KPH on a weekday. You will hear them only on Saturdays. KPH. It's actually maintained. KPH is maintained by the Historical Society. I mean, even when they were on the correct schedule, even when they were on the correct schedule, the sometimes the audio was just so bad on the marine weather stations that it was just, incredible. So it seems nobody cares. Yeah, you got to get up there. There's apparently the Marine Historical Society is a nice museum there that you could visit. Old radios. I'm at my dad's in the last couple of weeks because no AC in my bedroom, and I keep forgetting to take the Texan. Yeah, you need to do so. Bring the radio with you. ZY3WR KPH is a marine station in the United States located in California. And KPH was actually decommissioned, but what happened is that the Marine Historical Society in California have purchased and are maintaining the equipment for historical purposes, and they turn it on Saturdays. And so it is only Saturdays that it is working. And it's to kind of keep, you know, the history of KPH. Jim Gordon, I found that salt water does conduct RF on its surface. Certainly, I had some of my best DX on the Northeast coast. Oh, yeah. Salty water is great to help signals propagate. Um, that's why most transmission sites that are really good are located very often. You know, look at WRMI. It's in the marshlands in Florida. And same with Radio Canada International. It was Sackville was, you know, kind of a marsh with salty water because it definitely helps. So that's why people in the coast living, you know, near the ocean are often having a lot more better propagation on signals than when you're in the middle of a continent. So it's more difficult to receive some stations like in middle USA than the people that are either on the West Coast near the Pacific for Asian signals and the people that are on the East Coast for the Atlantic Ocean. They also get better propagation and often hear things that you wouldn't hear. Examples: the long wave stations in Europe, you know, 198 out of UK and so on. Often those that live right next to the Atlantic Ocean, even with very modest equipment, will um, with modest equipment will hear them. So it's like, you know. So basically, what happens is that these are the best places to put up antennas because they all the water and the salty water that's there actually helps the propagation. So and then same for Canada. I mean, it's, you know, it's harder to, the more inland you are, the harder it is to receive stations because the best conditions are really where you, if you live close to the ocean. So I'm kind of lucky in a way because Montreal being more to, you know, to the east in North America, I'm close enough to the Atlantic Ocean that part of that effect still works with signals that I receive here. So, you know, I get a lot of people that are saying, well, you know, why is it that in Toronto or why is it that in Saskatchewan, a signal that I'm getting is very weak compared to you? And there's all sorts of effects on that. There could be, you could be in the middle of a bounce of you know, of that signal, but also the fact that, well, you know, I'm technically closer to the ocean, so I still get stronger signals from Europe because of that effect, being closer to the ocean, even though I'm still far from the Atlantic here in Montreal. Um, John Meckham, it is the sodium chloride in the ocean which enhances your propagation indeed. Yep. You know, Radio Canada International, that salty marsh that the antennas were in made it made the ground planes. It enhanced Radio Canada International signals for when they were transmitting. Um, it was really one of the best places to have transmitters and antennas. Yeah, it's possible on 6925 lower sideband. It's totally possible you guys are hearing peskies, fishermen. That happens very, very often. Sometimes it's fun because you get a pirate, for example, on 6925 upper sideband, and when you switch lower sideband, you hear somebody in Spanish or some other language. So 2N2222A. Nice to have you here. What do you think will happen to shortwave? 520 megahertz, abandoned, no activity. There will always be activity. I mean, there's a lot of activity in that 5 to 20 megahertz. It's just that you don't necessarily receive it where you are. You might not be hearing that much where you are. Maybe the noise is, there. But if you have, if you just go on a good Kiwi SDR and start looking at 5 to 20 megahertz, you'll see that there are tons of signals. But it is, concentrated often in areas where the signals come more like from Europe or so depending on where you are, you might not find that there's a lot, but when you start looking at it, you kind of find that there's a lot in there, a lot more than we think. Actually, just look at the EIBI space schedule, but by frequency, and start looking at 5 megahertz and up and see all of the things that are in the frequency range from 5 to 20 megahertz. You'll be surprised. It might not show, or you might not have the impression that there's a lot, but there's a lot. It's not like the 80s, but there's still a lot of utilities too. So the last one to try, by the way, for the number station is 15814. So let's try 15814. This will be in 5 minutes from now. So 15814 CW, 15813 upper sideband. Stanscave, nice to have you here. It's so hard to get anything where I'm at California. Can barely get 2 AM stations if I'm lucky. Yeah, one of the things that could be playing against you is maybe you have a lot of noise around you. So all the weaker stuff that could still be listened to is washed out in the noise, unfortunately. I notice immediately when I take a portable radio and I go to the park, do a walk in the park, even though that park is still quite close to the population in general, it's still so quiet in the middle of that park compared to here that all of the stuff that I don't hear, I can hear there. So I end up, if I want to do a evening of listening, actually spending the whole evening in the park would give me an incredible night of radio listening. I mean, I heard that Peruvian station, the Peru station, Radio Chasquis on the 3 megahertz range. I was able to, I think it's last year, I was able to hear it from the park there at around 9 p.m. at night and local time. And it was not strong, but it just shows you that as soon as you get that freaking noise out and go to a very quiet place, you suddenly are surprised or amazed at the things you can listen to. I remember when I would go to the park or go to, I would bring a radio with me. When I do a lot of biking before, I'd always bring a radio with me. And I would stop, for a break somewhere, and I'd take the radio out of my pocket and I would put it on and listen to it. And I would get all of these signals that I can actually hear, which is very, very nice. And, I would come back home. And when I come back home, it's like, yeah, I don't hear that here. I mean, here I barely can listen to CFRX 6070, which is technically all day here. You can hear it all day, all in the daytime. But if I go to the park, clear as a whistle, I can listen to CFRX 6070 like absolutely no problem. So, Jim Gordon, back in the day in HK, used to have the fastest response for reception reports. QSLs used to arrive here in Scotland within 5 days. Yeah, I remember they were pretty quick. And boy, did they have beautiful QSL cards. Christopher Smith, I always hear that the 1980s was harder to hear anything than it is today. No, it's the other way around. But the problem in the 1980s and 70s was that you needed to have a really good radio because all the stations were so jam-packed next to each other that if your radio wasn't good enough, you had a hard time getting the transmission you wanted. Doug Noble, nice to have you here. 1710 can be interesting frequency on AM. Yeah, lots of stuff there. There are even pirates and all sorts of things happening. John Beckham, Gilles Silas made a comment that Radio Japan on 6105 was very, very strong. Oh, yeah. From that one from Issoudun in France was one of the strongest signals on the 49-meter band. Absolutely. Tosanov's got some over the horizon radar on 15814. Matt, you're lucky. I really have to get well out of town to get away from RFI here. I can be in the middle of a large park, but broadcast towers will cause RFI if local neighborhood sources don't. Wow. Yeah, I'm surprised actually that I get such a low noise environment in that park. I can hear, it's barely there, but I can hear. You see, this would be an example. I barely hear 15814. And I bet you that if I was in the park, all the noise that's gone with my Texan PL520 or any little a good portable, it would probably be an easy catch in the park compared to here where I barely hear it in the noise. John, I even noticed that the propagation was better here in Illinois last week. Yeah, last week was really good. Last week we had, man, it was so strong. The H1AO, I'm so happy here on the island regarding noise floor and no light pollution. That's good. Be very happy of that because people like us are going nuts with noise. I can tell you that. DJ Craze, is that radio in your pocket or are you just happy to see me? Tostenloaf, yeah, WRMI on 15770. Dan L, nice to have you here. I put up a long wire antenna around the perimeter of my yard about 4 inches off the ground that dramatically dropped the noise floor and opened up a lot of new stations that I couldn't hear before. That's good. If you are able to do that and have lower noise, that is really, really, really nice. Brian Leesner, can't hear a thing today. Radios, as if it makes a difference. 3 radios. Tosanov 15814, a little weaker than the other 2 so far. So, yeah. I'd say it's weak, but I'd say for me, it's the strongest of all 3 that we tried today. All 3 or 4? I don't know how many you tried. 17, 16, 15. Yeah, 3. It's the weakest. For me, it's the strongest, even though it's extremely weak. Even though it's extremely weak. So CHU coming in well. I have the impression that, yeah, it's not. We're also going to get into another problem here. with those transmissions is, so we start the show at 20 UTC. We're going to be June 1st on Monday. So we still have 3 weeks where the days are going to get a little bit longer. And that means that 20 hours UTC afternoon here, it's 4 p.m. Still a lot of daylight from here to, and the sun being very high, there's some absorption during the day. So usually in midday, in the summertime, June, July, there's almost nothing to hear. The frequencies are all pretty much all absorbed by the delayer because of the very high. The sun is very high, so there's a lot of ionization in the ionosphere. It doesn't help. That's why summertime, you're better off late afternoon, evening, night. I'll have better possibilities early morning. Compared to winter with the sun that is very low angle, absorption is not much of a problem. You hear more stuff in the afternoon, in the local afternoons. John Beckham, what is the status of 4840? It was on. You don't hear it? Because 4840 WWCR has been this week. I came across that frequency several times. Very, very strong signal here on 4840. Do you have problems hearing it? Maybe it's just a change in the propagation conditions. Out of curiosity. With winter, summer, there's a lot of changes in the propagation. So what happens is that sometimes there are signals that we hear easily in one part of, one part of the day or the night in the winter, and we don't hear the same in the summer. And there's a lot of changes going on depending on the season where we are, and the further you are from the equator, the bigger the change shows up. Mike B, 15813 Upper Sideman, no joy in Colorado. Last week propagation sure was nice. Oh yeah, last week, man, we had the best propagation last week. It's definitely amazing. So if you enjoy what we do, don't forget, you can give a little something to support us through the super chat here. It is much appreciated, helps a lot. You have no idea how it helps. And of course, there's the pizza fund and cat treats for Paul through PayPal on this email. And thank you so much for your donations. I'm looking at other ways that donations can come through. That would be nice. I know that some people have problems with PayPal, and here there's the super chat. Some people don't want to go through that. So I'm looking at what else can be added, and so we'll see what can be done. So thank you for your donations, because they really keep this going. It is extremely nice to have your support, and it's important. A lot of people are here all the time, and if this wouldn't exist anymore, at some point, I think a lot of people would be sad to see this go. This is what it keeps going. Brian Leisner was listening to Review Bro on WWCR last night. 4840 is better in the winter months for sure, but usually very strong regardless. Air 4840, it's crazy. It's like all year long, amazing WWCR frequency. That one in 5935. 5935 at times actually is so strong here in Montreal that if I use a radio that easily overloads, 5935 will overload. It overloads my XH data D808. So it's kind of interesting. Star Child 9, nice to have you on board. Would I get good propagation if I took my PL330 over to the Lakeshore and the residential part of Western Lachine, just before Dorval. You, in the case of you know, propagation, if you're getting close to, a lake shore or anything, for shortwave, if you, it's just a small lake, things like that. And the best is mostly if you go try to find a quiet place where you're far from residential areas. A park that really all the houses, you don't see businesses, you don't see, it's like, just a big, just land. That would probably be better because you just want to remove the noise, basically. It's really a question of finding a quiet spot with your radio where you sit down and you notice that, well, look at that hissing of noise, and my radio is really, really low here. That means that you'll hear stations that are probably under that noise. You're suddenly going to pop up and you'll hear more. An example of that, for a long time, now they've changed the frequency a little, but for a long time, BBC World Service was on 15400 all afternoon, Montreal time. And here, I could not hear it. I could detect that there's something in the noise, but when I go to the park or go to a quiet place, it was an easy listen. I could listen to the BBC all afternoon and easily understand what they were saying. It was, that was great. So it's a question of find yourself a quiet place, a park, and anywhere. Not all parks are equal. I have 3, 4 parks walking distance from here, and I can tell you one thing: the only park that's really quiet is the one that I go, which is the closest, just the other corner from here. The 3 other parks, somehow there's some noise that I don't know where they come from. If it's from the park's like lighting system or what, but the 3 other parks are rather noisy, and I don't really have much of a difference in those parks than I would have at home here. But that park, for I don't know why that park is so quiet, but it's at least nice to see that I have some really quiet spot near me. So that's what you want to do. Go to a quiet place. Like that PL330, if you, like one evening, what you should do is find yourself that quiet spot, bring that PL330 out with you on that quiet spot one evening. Go take a walk or bike or whatever, and do an ETM scan. You'll be surprised at all the stuff that you hear that maybe you don't even hear when you're doing it from home. 2N2222A. I should call him Mr. Transistor. WWCR 4840 used to be very strong till the big winter storm, never recovered. That could be. Maybe when they had that winter storm, something happened, and maybe they had to change something in the antenna itself, and it changed its pattern. It's not impossible. If you find that it seems to coincide with the winter storm, the big winter ice storm they had, it's definitely a possibility. There could be a difference in the way they're broadcasting. The best is you should write them. Write to WWCR and let them know. Say that since that winter storm when they were off, it seems that propagation is different. They're really, they're gonna answer you back, and they're gonna say, oh yeah, we changed something, or if maybe they're gonna tell you they didn't change anything. But they're gonna tell you, and it is possible. That is possible. It could be the propagation conditions that are different, depending on where you are, because depending on where you are, and the fact that the days are longer and all of that, it could be just a change in propagation for the time of year that will come back to normal when you get back into winter. There also all of that is possible, but it's possible maybe something broke down and they had to change something. That I wouldn't be surprised that that is something that they had to do. Brian Leesner says WWCR was hit and off the air for a short while. Yeah, it was several days. I think I got the first 4840 coming back because the voice of the report of the week was on, and they're saying that he was wondering when the show would come back. So Quentin Gray, yeah, absolutely. He's got a show called Voice of the Report of the Week, VORW, and he's on WWCR. I think he's on WRMI also, and a few other places. I think even on channel 292 in Europe. It's a mix of yeah, it's kind of a mix of like news reviews where he talks about what's happening around the world and music. And I've heard him a week ago. I always hear him by accident because I never look at the schedules when they're broadcasting. But I think the last time I heard him was last week. I got him by accident on WWCR. It's entertaining. It's always nice. He showed up here a few times in the past few years, saying hello to everyone. Even talked about me on this show a couple of times. So kind of it's nice to have that those opportunities of different types of programming and stuff. Definitely. So okay, I need to do my caregiving duties for a few minutes. So what we'll do is I don't know what. Oops. That's music. So put yourselves on Spain in Spanish, and I will come back in a couple of minutes after I do my caregiving duties. So won't be very long, guys. Back in a couple of minutes. De pirotecnia y gas lacrimógeno, los campos elíseos tiene esas dos caras, la fiesta y la tensión, la cifra de detenidos no ha subido de momento, pero seguramente lo hará a lo largo de la noche, 131 millones para el equipo, no exactamente los campos elíseos, en la fiesta va a ser en la Torre Eiffel, antes lo recibirá el presidente Macron en el Palacio del Elíseo. Pues muchísimas gracias, Antonio. Y mañana, muy pendientes de un duelo español en Roland Garros, Nacho Gómez. Hola, ¿qué tal? Sí, este duelo entre Rafa Nadal y Pablo Carreño también. Vamos a ir hablando un poquito de Roland Garros porque se nos está quedando algo extraño. Ya hemos visto anteayer a Yannick Sinner colapsando por el calor y cayendo. También ayer perdió Novak Djokovic. Hoy hemos tenido dos partidos históricos. El primero, el de Martín Landaluz ante Juan Manuel Cerundolo. Es el tercer partido más largo de la historia de los dos Roland Garros. Han jugado 4 tiebreaks y todos los juegos menos el primero quedan 7-6 en un partido, la verdad, espectacular. Esto es lo que ha dicho el andaluz para Eurosport. Esa duda de si físicamente podía estar preparado para partidos a 5-6. Los únicos dos que he jugado, que es el cuadro de Australia y el última ronda de Wimbledon de Feria, pues habíamos intentado ir midiendo un poco por si había calambres, por si había fatiga, y aquí en este torneo me ha demostrado que puedo estar el tiempo que haga falta, que puedo incluso estar mejor físicamente que mis rivales. Y hay que aclarar que ese partido de mañana es un duelo de españoles, porque se habla mucho de Rafa Nadal, que ha subido como el ranking, y es el tercero en el ranking ATP de los españoles, pero juega contra otro de los nuestros. Eso es, contra Pablo Carreño, buscando ese billete para los cuartos de final. Que como ya hemos comentado, pues no estarán Sinner, tampoco estará Djokovic, y quien sigue con juego mañana también es Zverev.
ante una gran oportunidad de poder llevarse este gran evento. Así que mañana, no antes de las 12, será este partido entre Pablo Carreño y Rafa Jota. Muchísimas gracias, Nacho. Y en el resto de la página polideportiva, bastantes asuntos, Mario Cuestas. Pues sí, Jonas Vingegaard ha logrado su quinta victoria de etapa en el Giro con una gran escapada antes del Piancavallo. Triunfo que le sirve para sentenciar esta edición del Giro, ya que mete más de 5 minutos al segundo en la general. Si gana mañana la etapa, igualaría el récord de más victorias en una misma edición del Giro, con 6, récord que ahora mismo ostenta Pogačar, y en caso de terminar llevándose la carrera, completaría el círculo de las grandes vueltas. En los europeos de gimnasia rítmica disputados en Varna, Bulgaria, el equipo español ha reeditado el éxito del año pasado y esta tarde se han proclamado campeones de Europa en el concurso completo. Mañana intentarán colgarse otro oro en la final por aparatos. Bueno, pues enhorabuena para las rosas, que siempre nos dan alegrías, y más deporte con Paco Pérez.
¿Qué tal, Noya? Pues para terminar, a las 2 de esta madrugada, séptimo y último partido de la serie de la NBA, de las finales de la conferencia entre los actuales campeones Oklahoma City Thunder y San Antonio Spurs, con Wembanyama a la cabeza. Y en la final espera uno de los dos. Los New York Knicks, que jugarán unas finales 27
años de menos a los Knicks, se estaban
desde el 99, con Patrick Ewing, me acuerdo, sí.
Eso es. Bueno, pues seguimos pendientes de ese partido, de la final del oeste, del último partido de la final del oeste, de los Knicks, que a mí me gustan bastante, y, ojo, que Tablero Deportivo no se queda aquí. Vuelve mañana, como siempre, con Miguel Ángel Méndez a los mandos, con Silvia Verde, a partir de las 5 de la tarde. Yo creo, Paco, que es hora de irse también a celebrar, ¿no?
Todo el lío de la segunda división, queda todavía...
Con todo el lío de la segunda división. Yo digo que vamos a celebrar, no sé, ayer se ha celebrado hoy, la Champions del PSG, 1-0, o sea, el 4-5 ha sido, ¿no? Al final de los penaltis. 4-3 en los penaltis. Segunda Champions de Luis Enrique. Enhorabuena. Es medianoche, las 11 en Canarias.
Radio Nacional de España. Noticias.
Buenas noches. Irán asegura mantener el control total del estrecho de Hormuz y advierte de que responderá a cualquier intento de injerencia militar en la zona. Mientras tanto, Estados Unidos eleva ya por encima del centenar el número de buques afectados por el bloqueo del paso marítimo.
Con el objetivo de aliviar la congestión y tratar de reactivar las negociaciones, el viceprimer ministro de Qatar, el jeque Al-Thani, plantea junto a otros países del Golfo la creación de un sistema temporal de peajes destinado a financiar labores de desminado y otras operaciones de seguridad en la ruta, pero Hormuz no es el único punto de fricción sobre la mesa. Sigue también el programa nuclear iraní.
Iran may not want to give up their nuclear ambitions, but we believe that
el secretario de Defensa estadounidense, Pete Hegseth, asegura que la presencia militar desplegada por Washington en la región constituye un incentivo suficiente para que Teherán abandone sus aspiraciones nucleares. La respuesta iraní pasa por otra hoja de ruta. Antes de abordar cualquier negociación sobre su programa atómico, exige el levantamiento de las sanciones internacionales y la liberación de unos 24.000 millones de dólares en activos congelados por Estados Unidos.
Aquí en nuestro país, de la actualidad política, les contamos que este sábado, que hemos dejado atrás, el PSOE ha reivindicado su labor al frente del Ejecutivo. Insiste en dejar trabajar a los tribunales, convencido de que al final la verdad siempre se abre paso, aseguran. Su portavoz adjunta, Inma López, recuerda que ninguna organización política es infalible e insiste en que no hay que judicializar la política y que hay que ganar en las urnas.
Porque en política, a los partidos políticos se nos gana en las urnas y en el Parlamento. Se nos gana con democracia. Se nos gana con votos.
Y en el Partido Popular,
And we are back.
lo urgente es desalojar a Pedro Sánchez de la Moncloa.
It's a good signal from Radio Exterior de España, 15500 to, this is the frequency to North America. And it's a pretty good one. So, there we go. So, J Projects, nice to have you here. Says VRRW has repeats through the week, sometimes new updates as well. Schedule available by email. Yeah, and sometimes what happens with WWCR is that they have an empty slot. They don't know what to do, and they just drop whatever show there. And so he might have airings at times that is not supposed to, just like World of Radio. The World of Radio show is the same thing. It's like they, are at times that you don't even, not always sure that when you're going to get one. So something in Spanish over WRMI on 15. This is RF power. I'm going to go to level. There we go. Level up here. So let's check out if our friends at Radio Voice of Turkey. Yeah, Voice of Turkey is there on 11785, but heavily, it's heavily interfered with Brazil on 11780. But I can hear them. Actually, what I'm going to do is use upper sideband. So with upper sideband, it helps me avoid the interference coming down from Brazil on 11780. So Turkey, not as strong. Yesterday it was better. Yesterday I had a very strong Turkey. Today it's average 11785 in English. Just above Brazil. They really should be moving further away from Brazil to be heard. I can tell you that. What else do we have here? Quentin Gray says, I used to watch his YouTube back in the day before I got into Shortwave. That was not a name I was expecting to come up in the context. Yeah. So it's surprising sometimes. Microwave Mick non comprende español. Quentin Gray, out of curiosity, roughly how much does it cost to rent time on a station? WRMI costs $1 a minute. So it gives you an idea of if you want a 1 hour show, 30-minute show. Of course, there are different prices for different powers and times sometimes. But overall, a station like WRMI is $1 a minute. There was an interesting take. I actually came across Alan Wiener Worldwide, which I don't listen to much. But he, at the moment that I caught his show on WBCQ, he was talking about the big 500 kilowatt transmitter and antenna, rotatable antenna. And somebody was asking him why he was in renting time, because apparently he's getting requests of people saying, I'd have a 1 hour show every week on that transmitter if you want, or and whatever. And he replied back that he does not want something like that on that transmitter, that he wants someone to rent the transmitter for a minimum of 4 to 5 hours per day, every day of the week, or every day. So it's like he doesn't want to have somebody that just wants an hour here, an hour there. Maybe there's a reason behind it. Maybe it's like, well, it's not worth it, just like turning it on and having that transmitter run just for an hour show, and that's it. He really wants something that will be like a serious broadcast that will be there several hours per day, every day. So I don't know if he's ever going to get someone there. We were thinking here, it's like me and Sheldon Harvey are always thinking about how wonderful that transmitter could be to have, you know, a nice 500 kilowatt Radio Canada International back on the air. It would cost them so little compared to owning the, transmitting station and having to take care of all of that. But obviously, the CBC Radio Canada does not care about having an international audience, even though by law it is written that Radio Canada International needs to exist. But I mean, what exists is a puny crap thing on the web. But boy, do we think, we had pictures a few weeks ago that we saw on the live show, thanks to a guy in New Brunswick. And we were looking at how devastated the, building is now, how it's a big mess. And it seems like there's tons of documentation that was left there but when they left. And you know what? We were thinking about who should we send these pictures to at the Canadian government to say, so we literally abandoned that building there. Look at what it looks like right now. It's been, pretty much destroyed. And that's kind of not cool. I don't know. Marvin Mutz, nice to have you on board from the mainland China. Nice to have you here. David in Barcelona, arriving just as Radio Exterior España is being received. And that's nice to have you here from Barcelona, Spain. Nice to have you on board, David. Fred Water, nice to have you here. Brett Woolley. Okay, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Also know they should go up 10 kilohertz. And even further, man. They could go up way further than that. In these times where we have a lot of spectrum available, they could go, much higher and move away from it. They have this habit of choosing these frequencies. When they were on 9830 in the summertime, I remember there was that radio teletype signal from the US Navy, which is just above, like on 9831 or 32. And it was like, why are you always choosing a frequency there? There's something close. Gardening and grafting. Nice to have you here. I want to replace Texan PL330 with the PL660. Which has best sensitivity on medium wave? Well, both are pretty good. The advantage of the PL660 is because it's analog, you will not have any muting when you tune the tuning button. So if you'll use the tuning knob a lot on medium wave to go through different frequencies for medium wave stations, it will be easier for you on the PL660 because there's no muting. Where the PL330, there's going to be some muting. Microwave Mick, 25 years ago, the WWCR broadcast a one-off show, an hour long, called Jersey Shore Radio, all about CB and DX. DJ Craze, is there anything that can be done about the cesspool that is known as 7200? Apart from, when there's some offending signal, if you hear a call sign or anything and kind of report it to the FCC, there's not much. The FCC doesn't really go there much. They have other things to do. There's not enough people. There was a report just a month or two ago that some ham on 7200 did get he got a fine from the FCC for illegal operations and the way that he was operating on 7200, and he was actually caught. So some people definitely somewhere, heard enough that they could complain, and so they could find the station, but just I think the best thing is just to tune away from it. Fred Water, RCI via WBCQ or WRMI is too logical to happen. Yep, definitely. There was Tony Pavic in British Columbia had the perfect sentence. He said, "Hey, that WBCQ in Monticello, Maine, is actually real close to Sackville, New Brunswick. That would make so much sense that it would use that." I was like, yeah, it ain't that far, actually, from Monticello, Maine to Sackville. Atari 6200, what do you think of the Aurora 500 watt HF 6 meter SDR transceiver? I haven't checked that. Aurora, let me just go and check this out. Aurora. Oops. Aurora 500 watt AM transceiver. Oh yeah, oh boy. $15,000. Anybody out there wants to do a donation of 15 grand so that I can get an Aurora? It's a Flex Radio Aurora, innovative 500 watts HF 6 meter software defined radio. Integrates full transceiver, power supply, and antenna tuner into a single compact chassis, weighing only 18 pounds. Looks interesting. So the lowest price is DX Engineering. No, that's a different model. There's the 510M, the 520. Yeah, nice. I'd be curious. I find it a little kind of blocky kind of look. But yeah, that's definitely interesting. So Jasmine says it would be fun if someone just jammed it. Oh, there are sometimes some that are jamming 7200 with all sorts of noise and music and stuff. David says, thank you, Jill. Yes, my timing this time hasn't been too bad. Mike B got KEX 1190 AM from Portland, Oregon, and here in Southwest Colorado last night. 895 miles, 1,400 kilometers. That's pretty good. With the PL330 and an AN200. That is great. Joe says, mentioned WDX2 radio earlier. Got a 30 feet antenna for my Q286, but my 3.5 millimeter connector muted the radio instead of improving reception. So put a whip clip on connector attached to the whip. Okay. Gabriel says, remember that when you have a broadcast bothering you, sometimes you can ask a friend to shut it off for a while. Gino, is that a Drake receiver behind you on your right? If you're talking about this is an ICOM. This is the ICOM ICR 8500. I have in the back of my chair here that I want to switch for a while, the Kenwood R5000 here. Fred says, gets checkbook out. Would you like one or two? One will be enough. I don't want to abuse of your, generosity. So I'll take just one. But of course, feel free to do whatever you want. Mike WX50 at that price, get two. Why not? Two for the price of one. Must be an interesting receiver to try though. I mean 500 watts. That is what also hikes a lot of the price here. The fact that it actually can do 500 watts of power, which pretty much no transceivers do that. So imagine the power supply. Well, it must be a switching power supply, but yeah, kind of interesting. I'd try one just for the fun of it. I should write to them. I should write to them and say, "Oh, would you be willing to give one to the channel for a review?" I don't think that will work, but who knows? Take care, the DH1AO. Have a great evening, night. PVM, what is the benefit of using a loop antenna? Use it inside or outside? Use it inside or outside. A magnetic loop and loops in general. So first of all, the loop is very directional. You have passive loops and you have active loops. Usually loop antennas are used because they are receiving just the RF portion of a signal. And so if you have a lot of interference around you, the electric portion of the noise is not received by a loop or a magnetic loop. So a lot of people use a loop for that purpose of lowering certain types of noise that could be coming from around. So this is why I use my GA490 magnetic loop. It lowers the amount of noise I have on the lower frequencies, which lets me listen to signals I would not hear with just a simple wire that just gets everything, all types of noise. And you can use it inside or outside. That's also one of the things about some magnetic loops that, they're, because of their size, if you can't put an out there antenna, some people will use it like in a window, for example, to receive shortwave or any other radio signals. But they can be used outside, they can be used inside, as long as they're made to be outside. Like the GA490 is designed to be outside, so that works. But and also, like I said, it's very directional. So if you're on a medium wave band, for example, and you're DXing AM stations on the AM band, you can just turn the loop and it becomes very directional, so you can null out some stations and get other stations instead. So there's several reasons why a loop is fun to play with. Upstate SWL, I heard someone say, I think it was Al Turner, say they were scheduled to broadcast Sunday afternoons on a 5-hour block on the WBCQ superpower transmitter, but Alan Wiener had told him they couldn't. Yeah. Fred Water or Jackie Gleason was a big-time shortwave listener. He always bought 2 of everything. Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you here. John Beckham, Jill, do you like the Canadian singer primarily from the 80s, Paul Jans? I like his music as I recently discovered him. I don't know much about that that singer. I need to listen more and maybe check out more about it, because It's not. It's a name that I know, but I've never really got into. I don't even know if I've heard a song or anything from that artist. Man Radio DXer, Craig Martinetti, he's back. They're here. It's nice to have everybody here. So Turkey, not that great, but it's there on 11785. What else do we have? We're playing Turkish music right now, but boy does it get hammered by Brazil on 11780. There's some music on 11760. Sounds like Chinese music. Let's see, 11760 at this time. It's definitely not Cuba, which was there yesterday. This time, it's China Radio International in Portuguese to Europe. It's interesting. Their Portuguese and Spanish language programming is almost only music. $11,660 is China Radio International. China Radio International direct from China too, in French. Well, with Chinese lessons. Madagascar, World Voice, very strong from Madagascar on 11610. 25-meter band is kind of open. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. What else do we have? Michael, nice to have you here. Thank you. Great show today. Mike B, I sent you an email about FCC legal operator enforcement in Southern California this week. Okay. Old radios. I might get a radio from someone moving to Bulgaria. Aha. Fred Water, after Jackie died, there was a radio dealer in Florida who wrote that he was on call 24/7 to consult with Jackie. Ricky Sedush, nice to have you here from Calgary, Alberta. And just starting some dinner preparations. 2N222A says, I checked 15500 over EE. It's there, simple 35353. Surprising. Michael says, #1 radio host, Jill, official shortwave channel. Upstate SWL. Yep, talking about Jackie Gleason. Old Radio is going to charge up the WT2 and see what Global Group is talking about. I actually charged mine this week. I had not used it in at least a month and a half, so I charged it this week. I listened a little bit to some shortwave on it, and I also listened to some streams from different stations, including Radio Australia and then the BBC World Service on it. It's kind of fun. DJ Chris says, okay, I'm back. Had to move everything upstairs so I can run all 4 monitors. 6 soon. Ricky says CRI's alleged German service is also 100% music. There was an interesting a comment from someone that was telling Glenn Hauser on his Roller Radio show, you know, why is CRI just playing music on some services? And what someone mentioned was that they think they're doing that even if they don't have any programming, they just put music on. They think that they're doing that because they want to just keep the frequency and just say, hey, this is our frequency. And that a lot of broadcasts with music from China would simply be there just because they're saying, well, this is our frequency. Don't use this. We own it. So kind of interesting. Free to Choose, did you hear last weekend about Radio Caroline announcing that the king was dead? Computer programming error, apparently. No, I didn't hear anything about that. Kind of funny. The king is dead. No, he's not. It's like those Facebook and internet hoax that they always get, you know, it's like, oh my God, he's dead. And they have a picture of an actor or some, you know, popular singer. And you're like, no, he's not. He's not. Stop kidding around. And of course, a lot of people share it. So it's like everybody, oh, he's dead. No, he's not. He's not. I don't remember which artist, but it was an actor. He was on a TV show that I caught by accident. And he was saying, he said, one morning I wake up and I was wondering why my phone was, you know, jam-packed with messages. And he said, first message said, well, apparently you're dead. It's like, what? Ricky says CRI French service is quite interesting. Last time I heard it anyway. A lot of Africa-focused news. You know, I listened many times to CRI French service when I get it here. And I am amazed at the quality of that broadcast. The info, it sounds like, you know, any big gun news service. And you learn, and you definitely learn a lot about what's happening in China, in Africa. Every time I hear it, I stay there because it is a very interesting broadcast. So I am amazed at that. And I wonder why they don't do that on other you know, languages, because I mean, wow, that broadcast is great. It's great to listen to. Art Dodd, nice to have you here. K2ADC in New Jersey, nice to have you on board. Fred Water is not dead, he's resting. Pinning for the fjords. Man, it's just Matt, DK2, remember seeing people who thought that the news about Michael Jackson's passing was a hoax, but it wasn't. It wasn't confirmed for hours. Yeah. There are people like that, and one day when you learn, you remember where you were. I was, and I still remember, when I learned that Michael Jackson died, I was at a karaoke bar. I was at karaoke bar having a beer. It was kind of like a shock. What? Fred Water, for a while on Facebook, Bob Denver died about every 6 months. Yeah. Oh man, there are so many. Ricky shared the article from the Garden. Oh yeah, definitely, Fred. The CRI is spelling the void left by Voice of America and BBC. That is something that it's going to be interesting in the long run. John Beckham around 11,700 to 11,800 has that old shortwave listing feeling. Yeah, when you have several stations that are, whoops. Radio Marti on 11860. 11880 is a carrier, and that's Cuba, but just a carrier, no audio. Yet yesterday they had pretty good audio. It's a hit or miss with Radio Havana Cuba. Just a carrier on 11880. I actually also was a little surprised yesterday. It had been a long time since I heard it. I heard Radio Havana Cuba's interval signal. I had not heard RHC's interval signal in more than a year, that's for sure, if not a couple of years. I was very, very surprised when they moved to the French language broadcast. Yeah, definitely. Bob Denver, yeah, died a long time ago. Also know news directly from other countries is always interesting. Yep. It's what I like listening to those broadcasts. You hear things that you never hear over here. I mean, we don't get news from Africa. We don't even know what's happening in Africa, except that Ebola virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's a big problem. But for the rest, we don't hear anything about Africa. That's why I like that CRI French broadcast is cool for that. You learn tons of things about Africa, African countries, what's happening in different African countries. Old radio is waiting for one more part to show up, and I can finally get the 1908 Edison cylinder player working against after decades. Pretty cool. Skipper and Gilligan. MDK2, I use Reuters for world news. It's really the best option now. When that Iranian or alleged Iranian, and we finally found it was not, number station popped on shortwave. I don't know who gave him my email, but a journalist from Reuters, I don't know how to pronounce it, actually sent me an email to ask if I wanted to do a Zoom to explain to him what number stations were all about. Keegan DX, remember something recently about Michael J. Fox reacting to a CNN accidentally pushing an early obituary for him. You know what's the worst? The worst is there's a YouTube channel that I came across that has obituaries of every actor, actress, singer, musician that are still alive. But it's like they already pre-made the obituary so that when that person dies, automatically that channel is going to get some views. I'm like, what? You already put dead people when they're not? Yeah, Reuters, I guess. Reuters. DJ Cray says getting pesky is 6925 lower sideband. Let's see if I get anything here. 6.925. Not listening very long, but right now I'm hearing nothing. Just a quick pirate check. Not hearing anything there. It's very weird to hear what sounds like Morse code, but it's not Morse code on between 6940 and 6948 kilohertz. Very weird. So Jasmine gets African news from streamers and content creators in Africa. So it's interesting. So we have Cuba without audio, 1188. Radio Marti, 11930. Oh, look at that. There's a Iona sound. Let's follow it. It's not very strong. It just disappeared. Wow. Oh, it's there. I find it funny to follow them. So let's see on the 22 meter band. Oh, there's another one, an Iona sound going through. Radio Marti on 13570. There's a station on 13580 just next to it with music. 13580. What's that? Radio Romania in English. To the Far East. That's interesting. So that would be Radio Romania in English on 13580. Something on 13640 with a very low audio level. WWCR on 13845.
You've got a number of things. The restoration of the
So it's kind of interesting to hear Romania to the Far East on 13580. Huh. Matt says news organizations have long had pre-drafted obituaries for celebrities, politicians, and other famous folks. It's easier to keep that on hand than to have to research everything. Yeah, in a way that is that makes sense. I mean, you already know, you can just, tweak it with maybe something new if something new is happening, but having all that and already have the history of that person, whatever, it makes sense actually. Microwave Mick, can't remember where I saw it, but some reports about CHU shutting down. Oh yeah, it is June 22nd. Shutting down CHU. Says we'd hear the same BS about WWV. Jasmine, just check my timeline feed for news. Shortwave signals here in KPH S9 in Florida on 17016. Let's check it out here. 17016. Seventeen oh 16. It's not too bad here. If I didn't have that darn noise, it's actually not too bad. 17016. Let's try to decode. There we go, decoding. So it's essentially sending a call to all stations, the VVV at the beginning. It's going to start again. It's going to do VVV, which means calling all stations. So VVV, here we go. And that decode isn't perfect, but... And it says VVV from KPH. So it's calling all stations, telling them that that's KPH. And it's telling them that it's listening on several frequencies for any traffic, basically. That's what it's transmitting, actually, on the frequency. Quentin Gray says picking up Morse on 6948 upper sideband. Maybe it's Morse. It's not Morse code. It has several frequencies that are transmitting exactly the same thing around a range of 6920 to 6950. It would technically be some kind of wideband digital something. Nobody knows where it's from. Some speculate it might be coming from Russia, but we're not sure. So calling all stations from KPH. So not too bad of a signal on 17016 here in Montreal. Well, not exactly a free to choose. VVV is more like calling all stations that are out there that have traffic, where a CQ is more like, I'm calling for anybody that wants to answer back. CQ is more of an amateur radio thing. DIS is more of a marine thing, which is more like, calling all stations and that's it. It might look similar, but there's a slight difference. It's more you'll see VVV being broadcast over and over and over. It's more like, I'm trying to get your attention, that I'm here. Where CQ, you want to call the station, you want to have somebody answer back. VVV, you'll send it over and over and over again as long as nobody's listening. Yeah, you could do the same with CQ, but it's more of VVV is more like, for utilities, marine and stations, for example. Most marine stations will send VVV to just say, well, calling anyone that's out there that has traffic, where CQ is more like I'm calling another station, we can have a conversation. It's kind of similar, but for CQ would be more amateur radio and VVV would be more utility, like marine stations. I would put it in a different way. CQ is you want somebody to answer back, where VVV will be more like just letting all stations know I'm here. And if anybody has traffic or has something, I'm there. Skidology says it sucks that there is nothing I can do about the interference in the apartment complex. Most of the QRM comes from the other apartments of the building. That is I feel you. It's interesting because I complain about my noise here, yet I'll have people on the channel tell me, well, I see what you're hearing in your place. I don't even hear half of that. So you're kind of lucky in a way. And you're like, it's all relative. I have a high noise floor, but it's still not high enough to block everything. So people see what I hear and they're like, I'm jealous. You hear all of those things that I don't. Yet I'll see people that have really quiet stations, and I'll be in that place where I see all that you're getting, but that I'm not getting here. But I totally feel for you. It sucks because, especially when it's a hobby you enjoy, it's something you want to do, something you'd like to do. Definitely, it becomes sad. It's sad to, see that we have all of that noise preventing us from hearing all the stuff that we should hear. And then sometimes we compare ourselves to others, and we're like, wow, look at that lucky guy getting all of that. When I tune some Kiwi SDRs online and I see how low noise they are, I'm like, oh man, what a lucky bum. And sometimes that person doesn't even notice. They don't even. It's like, they're used to being in a low noise environment, so they're like, they don't realize all of that. The first time I came across what what noise is about is when I moved here. I essentially moved from where I was before to here, and plugged my radio, put a wire outside, and realized just turning it on that the game had changed. That what was easy at the other place that I was listening to was suddenly a challenge here to hear. And it really, really, at first it bummed me down. I even thought about, wow, am I going to be, in a place where I just can't continue doing my favorite hobby anymore? That really was kind of a sad moment when I moved here for that. I had never lived in a noisy place before. And I mean, I've been here 26 years now. So in that 26 years, it has become worse and worse and worse all the time. Thank you, Ardot, for the pizza and Paul treats through PayPal. It is much appreciated. Hey guys, if you like what I do, don't hesitate. How about using that super chat, or do like our friend Art and send for the pizza fund and cat treats to help out through PayPal. It is very important. It is something that actually helps me tremendously continue these live shows. You guys have come through, and it's really really important. And thanks for the donations, guys. So Joseph doesn't even own a TV. Well, I own TVs because I use them as monitors mostly. And my caregiving duties means that I do have to have cable with a lot of channels and a lot of stuff for a disabled person that cannot get out of the house. So, Keegan the Xer, I've been reducing time spent watching the news channels and TV in general for more time listening to music on the radio. I think it's a very good thing. I think a lot of us should, and a lot of people should just relax the watching news and listening to news, concentrate on some other stuff. The news today is driving people crazy. John Beckham, remember the van Kraftwerk calling occupants of interplanetary craft? Hey, I've seen Kraftwerk this year on a concert in Place des Arts in, I think it was February or March. I saw Kraftwerks at the beginning of this year. And I mean, a lot of the members are not the original members, but still, pretty cool. Jasmine says to me, for certain events, independent media is best. Like Stethoscope has been on the ground in New Jersey every day for our for frontline mainstream corporate. Yeah. Let's just say we got to choose our news sources carefully. So Craig Martinetti remembers Radio Australia. Yeah. Redwater, back in the day, I had a friend turn me on to Kraftwerk. Yeah. I've seen them this year, and I've seen them like 3 years ago in concert. Quentin Gray, I live in a large apartment building with a lot of interference. It's not perfect, but I've found that the MLA30 has worked quite well for overcoming the noise. That's the thing about a magnetic loop. If your magnetic loop is able to help you out, this is what my MLE30 I had before, the GA490 I have now, is helping me cope. I remember the first time I had a magnetic loop. I understood that it actually was bringing back a little bit of my hobby, which was being taken away by noise. So, yeah. Hey, Andy New, take care. Stay safe. See you next week. John Beckham, Steve Winwood, the only surviving member left of Traffic. Free to choose, yes. Kraftwerk is still active. A lot of the original members aren't there anymore, though. They've been replaced. But yeah, I went to see them this year at the Place des Arts with Sheldon Harvey. Hard dots, CQDX in the early 1900s originally meant for mariners come quickly to stress. They would then proceed with SOS. There was much CW ham radio interference during the Titanic rescue efforts. Oh, no, they're not making new music. It's really just touring. David Ward, Texas. It's getting very difficult to find pure news sources without biased opinions one way or another. Yeah. And it's getting harder also because it's getting polarized where powerful people own a lot of the media. And that is never good. John Beckham. Oh, REM are great. Yeah, all radios, Trans-Europa Express. Ricky says, for Joe's benefit, Meshcore is picking up steam in Montreal too. Repeaters recently installed at Université de Montréal, Mont-Saint-Bruno. And I'll have to absolutely check that out. I mean, if there's activity around here, I absolutely have to check that out. Really have to check that out. It'll be some fun project. Maybe this summer, a fun project of discovering mesh networks and all of that. That'd be kind of interesting. So we're getting to 2300 hours universal time. 23. Thank you, Rick KO4 OSA for donation through PayPal, and much appreciated. Let's check out. What's that? 23. Let's go tune again the bands. 23 UT. I'm gonna go to. We're gonna go from here. Actually, we're gonna go to the. I don't even know if there's anything. Let's check the 16-meter band. Let's see if anything's out there in the 16-meter band. So 16-meter band, there's a signal here. Very weak signal here. 17790, I believe, is WRMI. And there's another one here. 17715 is actually, it's weak, but that's Spain. Radio Exterior España. 17715. Now let's check 19-meter band.
I am recording a few of these segments here while we are on vacation on Maui, and I'm going to just go over the announcements here, and then I'm going to do the mailbag, the other segments I did have pre-recorded. So first off, on the announcements, I just wanted to let everyone know that I did get the new batch of QSL cards in the mail.
15770, I think, is that voice of shortwave radio guy. That's that has this show going on several times a week over WRMI.
And first off, getting a hold of them, sending in reception reports. It's really important that I get emails coming in. I go over the.
Take care, Matt. MDK2, always nice to have you on board.
I really have no idea if anyone's out there listening.
Brian Leisner saw Kraftwerk at Emerald City live in 1981.
So first off,
wow.
An email at VOSRINT@yahoo.com. That's VOSRINT@yahoo.com. You can also go over to our website.
David Ward's got 17675 Radio New Zealand. Here it doesn't come in before late, before local time, before 10 p.m. at least. 9 to 10 p.m. That's 0102 UT.
And I read those off on
The interval signal of Radio Exterior de España. $15,500. Peter Giacopelli. Will Spectres of Shortwave ever become available for purchase? I don't know. It is all controlled by Amanda Dawn Christie. I have no idea if it will ever be. I have no idea. So I know a lot of people express their. Maybe I should write to her and let her know that a lot of people on my channel expressed the desire to have a copy of Spectres of Shortwave and actually pay for it. Maybe you should be interested to know that. John Brewer, nice to have you on board. Joseph, 15,500 coming certs. A lot of noise today. Yeah, eschatology. Yep, Spain signing off. It's off now. The signal's dropped. Anything else on the 19-meter band? There's a carrier in 15170, but I have no idea. There's very weak audio on it. Very weak audio on it. So that would be the Spanish to South America from Radio Romania. Barely hear it. WWV. And let's check out if by any chance $14,996. Not hearing RWM. Let's check out RWM. Oh, it is coming it's pretty good here on 9996. Right now it's just a tone, but seems that propagation to Russia might be pretty good on 31-meter band. So 9996, the RWM time station in Moscow is coming in. If we look at pirate activity, nothing showing up right now. John Mickham, is Ceudon still in business? I think all of it was exchange data stuff, and I think they've removed like the Ceudon and Radiwell kind of brand names. Lately, what I've seen was mostly XH data. So and Leisner, I have the Ceudon D808 and the black version. I have the Ceudon 808 and the original XH data. And I want to compare them. I want to actually do videos with different signals on different bands. Gonzo says in South Indiana, USA, testing my new AM and Volt V4 with long wire. Does pretty well. Now, it's pretty crazy today when you think about it. These little radios of all sorts popping up and performing like we've never, dreamed of even a performance in an 80s radio. I look at, yesterday I took out my Panasonic RFB 300, and for the price that thing was sold, today we get something that is so much better. So much better. John Brewer, the artist formerly known as Log 2112. Craig Martinetti says, when I lived on Staten Island, New York, when I was my teens, they did all my shortwave radio listening at night. Got most of the English broadcast then. Loved listening to HCJB. Yeah. So now there's the identification and Morse code. Yeah, HCJB QSL cars were beautiful. Most of them. Like Radio Australia. Such beautiful cards Radio Australia had. Joseph, AI is getting interesting in radio. I took a video of my scanner off an off-band channel on my scanner with some guys talking, and it properly categorized the channel and their discussion explaining. Pretty cool. Yeah, AI will be interesting with radio, the radio hobby. I think there's some huge possibilities. Some huge possibilities with all of that, for sure. So now it's time pips with Mike B says the D109 weather band XH data or Ceodon clock has gained 9 minutes in 3 months. Yeah, this baffles me that in 2026 no one can get a tiny circuit that is pretty accurate with time. So they're all using these crappy clocks that just lose seconds every day. So, hey guys, it's been 3 hours and I'm tired today, and I will sign off. I have a few things to do and gotta eat. We'll be back next week at 20 hours UTC, and hopefully, if it's, I'm waiting for a beautiful weather day to actually get outside and do a show from outside, which will be fun and kind of different. And what's nice is that from outside, I can actually use my GA490 on a portable radio. So this is also going to be interesting. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. And I want to thank everybody for showing up as usual. Thanks for all of those that donated. It is always fun to be here. And, well, you know what? Next week at 20 hours Universal Time. And we'll have fun with radio again. And thanks, everybody, for being here, as usual. Take care, everyone. Love you all. Stay safe, all right? And Moscow nights are best. Look, you know what? I promise I'll do it next week. All right, Bobby? I'll promise next week it's going to be Moscow nights. Absolutely. So take care, everybody. Stay safe, and see you next Saturday.